Hi there, I'm Lana Monday Emmett, and I'm back with another episode of Can You Really Think and Grow Rich with our wonderful guest, Ramy El-Batarawi. How are we, Ramy?
Doing great. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And I'm excited and I'm sad at the same time because now we've gotten to the end of your story. We're talking a little bit about your final chapter. I want to call it ours because we've been talking about it for a few weeks now or for a little bit. But in this chapter, you talk a little bit about your operating procedure, your standard operating procedure. And for those who don't know Ramy has had an amazing life. It's been full of ups and downs, a very wild roller coaster ride in many different aspects, from economics and finance to even just life itself and health. So maybe tell us a little bit about what is your standing operating procedure. What do you mean by that?
All right. So basically, after 48 years of living, think and grow rich, and working and building off those principles and ups and downs and everything, I built it became a lot of things came second nature to me now. Everything in think and grow rich is second nature to me. I don't have to think about it, make it an effort. And also the other things I learned in life have become second nature. So it's basically how I operate every single day, that other people I feel can develop the same, because I wasn't the same when I was 12 as I am now at
Right.
60. All these things have developed. So my operating procedure, when I talk about it, is how I can handle and juggle so many things, like why I could have multiple companies. I talk about how, my mind is like a file cabinet. I could deal with something 100% in one company, and as soon as that phone call or that thing is over, I can shut it off and go to the next thing and be 100% in that.
Right.
So those are some of the things, and how, I work from 4 in the morning to 10 at night, because it's is what I do. I have so much to do. But again, not everybody has to do that. And my goals are really big in the things I have to do. So there's so many examples, I'm trying to, if it was this chapter, help people who read the rest of the book. Okay, so I get the accomplishment, I get the motivation and stuff. So how do I execute in all this stuff, and how do I do some of these things? And some of my operating procedure is some of those examples, so people can maybe operate in that way. Like, do not procrastinate. Take action right away on when you're ready to do something. Like, all the businesses that I've been in, I could think of, I didn't know I was going to be in that business till that day. So it's because I thought of it and I took action, decided right there and then launched that business right there and then. It didn't take months and months of thinking about it and wondering and oh, should I do this or that?
Right.
So it's things like that I put in there in how I operate every day, and what I write down, how I think about it. I think like a great chess player who thinks 20 moves ahead, not only one move ahead. I think when I think of, so I'm going to do something, I think what possible outcomes, the 10, 15, 20 possible outcomes, and then the 10, 15, 20 possible outcomes of that outcome. So you have to think so many moves ahead, not just the very next move, because a great chess player win the things that far ahead. If you just think the very next move, you know what, you lose the game, because you're just doing what's the immediate gratification you get, but you don't know what the next step is or what you have to do afterwards. So examples like that is part of the procedures and how I tackle business in my life every single day. And then I lead into the conclusion of the books and start giving some, and I kind of spread it out throughout the book, the different keys that I've learned in the last 48 years. So these are additional to what Napoleon Hill learned. So by doing, you kind of, like I talked about before, you learn other principles, and like some of the important keys are, like, I learned very early on to, because most people, fear of loss is greater than the hope of gain. That's just a fact. And I've learned how to turn that around to make my hope of gain a lot greater than my fear of loss. So I go in life and do things without fear. So that's one of my biggest keys, is to make your hope of gain greater than your fear of loss, because that'll cripple you every single time. Is your fear of losing what you have, the little that you have, fear of criticism, fear of whatever else that you have. I talk about the keys, about how important it is, if you really want to grow and expand, how to use other people's money. It's very important to use other people's money, because you're very limited in what you have. So having, as long as everybody wins in any transaction, and that's another key, that any deal that you make or any transaction that you make,
Mhm.
everybody has to win. If one
Right.
person loses, don't do that deal, because it's not going to be a good deal. So those are some of the keys. And always, another key is like always showing confidence, even if you're totally broke. When I was in the street,
Right.
I showed confidence like I had it all. So
Mhm.
people looked at me and said, "This guy is confident. He had it all. I want to be part of what he's doing." So it doesn't matter where you're at. You have to act like you already have it, and have that same confidence. It's almost like the fake it till you make it. And so there's more and more things, and definitely more is lost through indecision than wrong decision is a
Mhm.
very important key. You can be so indecisive, you don't do anything because you're so trying to figure out what the right thing to do that you don't want to make a mistake, and you don't ever
And you never
do
take
anything.
that first step.
Yeah, I mean, even like when you're dating, if you're like dating 100 different girls, and you'd say, okay, I don't know if I like this girl, maybe this girl is better. You lose the opportunity. Somebody's going to steal the right girl and marry her when you should have married her, but you took that decision, marry that girl. It's almost any part of life. The indecision is one of the things that creates a lot of failures and stuff. So it's a lot of great keys that I like putting in there that people could reflect, and they just live by those keys and the principles that I put in, or even some of the quotes of Napoleon Hill that I put in the book. They have the keys to win in life, to get anything they want. So again, I wrote the book and I finished the book so I could inspire people to
Right.
really get out of any rut they're in, or to achieve the things they've always wanted in life, no matter what status they're in right now, how old they are, how young they are, what
Right.
they're doing right now. It's full of knowledge. I kept the book short to 177 pages, but
Mhm.
I could have wrote a 5,000 page book and nobody would have read it. But I packed in 177 pages, just like Napoleon Hill packed in his 12-volume novel into one book, so people get it and read it, and it's
Right.
an easy read so that they can reread it and get the information they need to really succeed. And they apply to any of these principles to their lives, and they don't have to apply all of it. They apply
Yeah.
just a few of them. Just like it was Napoleon Hill, you apply just a couple of his principles, you win.
Right.
And it's all about living. That's why I put it in the title, like an extraordinary life. If you want to live a life that's just not humdrum, ordinary, 9 to 5, watch television, live for the weekends, a vacation a
Yeah.
year, do that day in, day out till you're 65 or 70, whenever you retire and die a few years later,
Mhm.
then you need to pick up a book like this, or do something to change your life, right now.
Right.
And that's the purpose of the book, and that's the purpose of why I wrote it.
So I'm going to have to go back and ask you this because you mentioned girls.
Mhm,
Okay. So
mhm.
there's this picture right here.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how this came about, because from what I understand, it required some perseverance in there.
Yeah, it took 18 months, but I made a decision when I met her. It was kind of love at first sight, and I decided this is a girl that I want to marry and want to be with. And she had hundreds of guys chasing her. I mean, so I had to stand out, and she rejected me a whole bunch of times and left me. And we were apart 3 4 months, but I never stopped. She moved to New York. I was in LA, and I just kept it up until finally she realized I was the guy to be with also, and she ended up saying yes when I proposed to her for the fifth or tenth time, I think, the third time.
Fifth and tenth.
And then we got married, and now we're together, and it's it's like people look at her and think she's a supermodel and stuff, but again, it works for love also. I mean, I look at it also. I'm a man of 60 years old to win over the heart of a 26-year-old woman that really truly loves me. It's a huge accomplishment. People dream of that.
Yeah.
So those principle works for love, for fighting the government, for everything. So it's really so that's like another testament to what the Napoleon Hill is. I've seen those little shows where handicapped man with no legs are married to these beautiful women and stuff. So it's just because they decided,
Right.
and women create a burning desire. That's part of winning. You had that burning desire to win them over, so your mind thinks of ways of winning them over and stuff. But nothing great comes easy, and
Yeah.
it was great to win her over.
And you have to have some confidence in there too.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of confidence and never stop.
Well, Ramy, it's been really a treat having you on here these last few episodes. Well, all the episodes, really. Your story is absolutely amazing. You're a fascinating person to talk to. You're so down to earth. You're
Thank you.
so credible and authentic. And we absolutely appreciate that tremendously about you. You know, your book is really a testament to how well Think and Grow Rich and the principles work. I mean, really, it shows that they do
Right.
work.
They do
So,
absolutely work. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, me too. I'm
So
glad
if
I
you
was
want,
able to give something back.
yep, absolutely. And this is a great way to do it because now everybody can take the time to read it and understand it in really a more modern setting. Because, you know, a lot of people struggle with Think and Grow Rich because, you know, some of the wording and phrasing, it's, you know, it's a
Right,
book that's almost a century old, but
right.
you take that and put that into a more modern context. And,
Yeah.
you know, what a wonderful idea that is. And the
Mhm.
thing about it is, too, not only are you explaining how it worked, I mean, you have the proof. You
Yeah.
know, there are so
That's
many
what I hope.
people that in the self-help industry, you know, that want to teach people how to be successful, but they're not successful themselves, you know.
Exactly.
So it's like if you're going to be about it and do it, you know, you better have it, you know, to back up. You better
Well, I
have
didn't
the
want to write
experience
the
to
book
back it
until I
up.
was able to prove to the world that it does work.
So, folks, if you guys want to get a copy, you can get it from Ramy's website. It is canyoureallythinkandgrowrich.com. We've got it right down here on the bottom of the screen. And you've got this paired also with the 1937 edition. It's a reproduction edition of Think and Grow Rich. So you can actually, I assume, read them at the same time, you know, go through and
You have to have both books because you need Think and Grow Rich too, because it's definitely the basis of a lot of things.
absolutely, absolutely. So, Ramy, thank you again for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. And we'll see you back on here again very, very soon, I know. And we're going to be on the lookout because I know you're doing lots of big and exciting things.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll
Thank
be doing more also with the foundation. I love supporting the foundation
And we love
get
it
the word
too,
out there.
because you were just a testament to
Thank
all of
you.
Napoleon Hill's work. So thanks again. And folks, we thank you for joining us and wish everyone a most productive and success-filled day, week, month, and life.